Welcome to the part 1 of lecture 3.4, derivatives of inverse trigonometric functions. In this video courseware, we will discuss about the inverse function as well as the inverse trigonometric functions and its relationship with the trigonometric functions. For the part 2, we will proceed with the differentiation of inverse trigonometric functions. We call from lecture 1 functions and from algebra. Suppose f is a one-to-one function whose elements are ordered pairs x comma y, where x is an element of A and y is an element of B, and both sets A and set B are subsets of the real number set. Then the inverse of f is a one-to-one function whose elements are ordered pairs y comma x. When we say one-to-one function, it means that for every x value, there's a unique y value. The y values are not repeated. So for example, we have a line. What else? What else? A cubic function. This is also one-to-one. Graphically, how will we know if a function is one-to-one? When we draw a horizontal line, the horizontal line will cross exactly 1 point on the graph. So that is when we know that a function is one-to-one. How about functions that are not one-to-one? For example, we have a parabola opening upwards or downwards. So let's say an opening upwards. This one is not one-to-one because if we draw a horizontal line here, for example, this is, for example, 3 comma y, and then this is negative 3 comma y, the y value will be repeated. So this is not one-to-one. How do we get the inverse of a function? Given f of x is equal to 5x minus 6, the ordered pair 2 comma 4 satisfies this function. So when we say satisfies this function, this is the x, and then this is the f of x. So let's see. 4, is it equal to 5 times 2 minus 6? So 4 is equal to 10 minus 6. Is it equal? Yes. So 2 comma 4 satisfies the function. The inverse of f of x is equal to 5x minus 6 is obtained as follows. Let y be equal to f of x. Then y is equal to 5x minus 6. Replace x with y and y with x. And then after that, we solve explicitly for y. When we say solve explicitly for y with only one coefficient will remain on the left side of the equation. So we have y is equal to x plus 6 all over 5. The new y will be replaced by the inverse function symbol. Take note that the negative 1 here is not an exponent, and also it doesn't imply. For example, we have here the inverse function of f. This is not equal to 1 over f. Okay? It is not an exponent, but just a symbol. And then after that, the ordered pair 4 comma 2 satisfies the inverse function. So let's check. 2 is equal to, is it really equal to 4 over 5 plus 6 over 5? So we have 2 is equal to 10 over 5. Yes, 2 is equal to 2. So as you can see, this one are inverse. So 2 comma 4 satisfies the original function and 4 comma 2 satisfies the inverse function. Pinagbaliktad lang. Now, how will we apply the inverse function to trigonometric functions? But before that, let us have some examples here of some functions and their inverses. For the first graph, we have f of x is equal to 5x minus 6. The inverse of that is x over 5 plus 6 over 5. So just like what we solved earlier. And then for the other one, we have here a cubic function. f of x is equal to x cubed, the red one, and then the purple one is the inverse, the cube root of x. What do you notice about their graphs? As you can see, the graph of the original function and its inverse are rotated, okay, are rotational reflections of each other. So if we rotate the cubic function, this one, and then if we rotate the line, so we will have the inverse. Next, let's have an example of a function that is not one-to-one. How will we get the inverse of that? The parabola y is equal to x squared does not have an inverse since it is not one-to-one. And graphically, its supposed inverse x is equal to y squared is not a function. Okay, as you can see, this is y is equal to x squared. It is not one-to-one since when we draw a horizontal line here, it will cause 2 points. So it should be 1 point only. And then the inverse of the supposed inverse of y is equal to x squared, this, we have x is equal to y squared, a parabola opening to the right. This is not a function because when we draw a vertical line using the vertical line test, it will cross 2 points. So that's not a function. Now, what will we do to y is equal to x squared for it to become one-to-one so that we can have the inverse? For the parabola y is equal to x squared, we can restrict actually the domain of it from negative infinity to positive infinity to 0 to positive infinity including 0 so that it will become one-to-one. Consequently, the inverse of this would be y is equal to square root of x, which is also a function and one-to-one, just like y is equal to x squared. So that is what we do to functions that are not one-to-one. We just simply restrict their domain. Let's talk about the inverse of trigonometric function just like sine. Observe the graph of y is equal to sine x and its inverse. So this is the graph of y is equal to sine x. As you can see, it is periodic. This is not one-to-one because as you can see, if we draw a horizontal line here, it will cause many points. The range of y is equal to sine x is the closed interval from -1 to 1. So it will only have the values like that. The domain of the y is equal to sine x is the set of real numbers. Okay, next. The inverse function of sine, as you can see, it is not a function because when we draw a vertical line here, we will cross many points. Okay, now what will we do to y is equal to sine x for it to have an inverse? Just like what we did to the parabola, we will restrict the domain of the sine x. This is the graph of the y is equal to sine x when we restrict its domain from the set of real numbers. So this is the set of real numbers to the closed interval -pi/2 to pi/2. So this is -pi/2 and then this is pi/2. So why is that? So this is where sine x is equal to 1 and -1. Okay? Now, getting the inverse of that, the inverse function will now be existing. As you can see, we have here the inverse function y is the arcsine of x. For all x is an element of the closed interval -1 to 1. This is the notation for the inverse trigonometric function. We have here y is equal to arcsine of x or the inverse sine of x. The purpose of the inverse trigonometric functions is mainly for the computation of angle. So suppose that we have your a right triangle ABC. Suppose that we are interested to find the angle A. Okay? Of course, we will not measure that by protractor. So we will use trigonometry. We may use any of the 6 trigonometric functions, but modern calculators only possess arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent. Now, how will we get angle A? We may use any function because we have here 3 sides. You may use tangent, cosine, but for this example, let's use sine A. Sine A is equal to 3 over 5. So that is opposite over hypotenuse. Taking the arc sine of both sides of the equation, so sine A becomes A, and then the other side of the equation becomes arc sine of 3 over 5. So take note that when we take the arc sine of A, it becomes A. Is that? It's because arc sine is the inverse of sine. This is the value when we use calculator, 36.87 degrees. Exercise, solve for A using the inverse cosine and inverse tangent functions. So you may use your calculator if you want. And then next, you may also solve for the angle B as an exercise. Here are the special limits involving inverse trigonometric functions. These are commonly used specifically when we are solving improper integrals, when we discuss improper integrals in integral calculus. The limit of arctangent x as x approaches infinity is equal to pi over 2, and the limit of arctangent x as x approaches negative infinity is equal to negative pi over 2. The domain and range of the inverse tangent are, the domain is the set of real numbers, and the range is the open interval from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. Okay, it means that, suppose that we have here a line, and then this is positive infinity, and then this is negative infinity. You will reach pi over 2, but you will never ever touch it. And when you go towards negative infinity, the arctangent function approaches negative pi over 2. Approaches only as the limit. For the other inverse trigonometric functions, just take note of the domain and range of them so that you may intuitively answer what the limit of arc sine x is as x approaches infinity, and so on. So just review the domain and range.